Welcome to Flourish, where we explore how to nurture, coach, and inspire the next generation for success and let their genius thrive. I'm your coach, Diane, and today we're discussing culture and why it's so important that people carry on tradition. If you've been listening to the show for a while, then you are probably aware that my family heritage is German, and my family is huge on integrating the German culture and traditions into our Canadian lifestyle. And it's really important to continue these traditions regardless of where you live, because it expands not only your own world and your family's world, but everyone surrounding you that you make an impact on. And they can also learn of your traditions because, as mentioned, I do not live in Germany. I am a first generation Canadian and have continued sharing all of these wonderful traditions I learned as a child with my own family. We love this time of year. We love fall. We love it because not only is it gorgeous and colorful and bountiful and harvest time, which also holds a lot of great memories, but it's also traditionally time for Oktoberfest. Yes. And we are very proud to share these traditions with our extended family and friends, regardless of where they're from. This year is a little bit different. We decided not to hold a gathering, nor was the traditional 16-day event in Munich held this year, but we all hope that next year we'll all be back in action and enjoying the fun. But, it's still a memory. It's still something that we're talking about and we're, I guess virtually remembering. But during the Oktoberfest period, we keep flexible, but I chose today specifically to produce this show because on this day in history is when Oktoberfest started. Yes, back in 1810 on October 12th, the Bavarian Crown Prince Ludwig married Princess Teresa of Saxony-Hildburghausen, and the people of Munich celebrated. And they had all kinds of great activities going on, and then it became a tradition. And they celebrated every year, almost, since that time. Because this is not the first time in history the Oktoberfest has been interrupted because of world events. And as a side note, because I love Neuschwanstein Castle and Sleeping Beauty's inspiration that Walt Disney took from it, that was actually built by the Prince Ludwig, who eventually became the king. And it was my understanding that he also built it because he really loved opera, and he really loved Wagner's operas, and he designed it so that he could actually hold entertainment in this castle. And I've actually been to the castle on 2 occasions, so I'm actually quite lucky because it is real and it is beautiful. So what is the tradition connection? Well, for me, it goes something like this. The tradition, folklore, heritage, that the culture that's passed down from generations to generations. My example goes something like this. Prince Ludwig gets married. In 1810, the people of Munich celebrate, and it's an annual event. My mother, who was born over 100 years later, lived in that region of Bavaria. She immigrated to Canada. We celebrate that every year. We share it with others. We wear dirndls and lederhosen. We do. We bake the beautiful gingerbread heart cookies and pretzels. We make a traditional Bavarian meal, and we really get to enjoy each other, because once the music starts, then we dance. And we dance and we dance and we don't stop. But this has all been part of our heritage, that it's been passed down from generation to generation. So there you go. Depending on where you live in the world, what is your story? How can you incorporate culture and tradition into your lives? Because let me tell you, West people, we're on the move all the time, aren't we? So it's interesting to just make a little bit of a connection. So then the culture connection, which is really respect to lifestyle, knowledge, values, that gets a little bit more interesting, like really interesting. So you have to think a little deeper and look at a bigger picture, because the only thing that really makes us unique from one another, besides our fingerprints and DNA, which is the obvious, like we all have the same brain, we all have similar structure, we all have the senses that keeps our, lizard brain alive. What sets us apart, what makes us unique, is geographically where we live at the moment, and our culture, our background, our traditions. So living in one part of the globe will imprint on us, not only due to the weather, but what the overall environment is. And you get like different vibes depending on where you're living, and different personal disciplines, different levels of education, farming. All farmers are not created equal, because they have different styles of farming, and that impacts them. Learning, lifestyle, literature, and society, and on and on and on. And what's lucky about all of this, if you think about it in the big picture, is because our globe is becoming smaller. We get to learn about these things, even if we cannot be physically present. I hope that makes sense. So learn from the best of all worlds, learn from different people and what's really important to them, and share your culture and what's important to you and why it's important to you, and how the big picture connects. It's important to share with your children. It's part of their personal development. And you know what? Makes them proud. Makes them really, really proud. To just say, hey, in my family, the tradition is, or they get to share a piece of themselves, and it makes it really personal. The human race, like I said, has been on the go since the beginning of time. And there's people, particles, everywhere across the world. And it's nothing new to immigrate. It's nothing new to move to another country. It's actually quite normal. And we've been melding together for a long, long time. Yet our cultures, traditional cultures, remain alive and well to share and learn from. We are so lucky that we get to explore and feel and learn from the riches of the world without even leaving home. And once you start digging, holy moly, you are just going to find an array of exciting opportunity and learning opportunities, and share a history, a commonality. And this even extends further through music. Yes, music, that global language you don't need to know the words to. The melody works through our brains and we enjoy it. And that I was really reminded about that because when I was talking earlier about King Ludwig, the prince eventually became king, and his love for the opera, I thought, wow, can you imagine if different cultures didn't share their different music? We would not have the diversity in music that we do. And I absolutely love opera, and it's around the world. It's around the world. Every culture with music knows opera. You don't have to love opera, but you know opera. And culture comes full circle. That's why it's so important to keep the tradition alive. My hope is that my family will continue the tradition, continue the history of our culture for generations to come, because it's so much fun and it's so important to history, and it's so important to our own identity. It really is. And the globe is getting smaller. It really is quite the kaleidoscope. The kaleidoscope as different cultures mix, yet remain distinct. We see that very apparent here in Canada, where I don't even know, I think we've lost count on how many different diverse cultures live here. And we embrace the difference, but we live in unity. We embrace the difference, and we live in unity. What a wonderful opportunity to learn from others and histories about civilizations from around the world and their traditions. I just absolutely love that, because then we learn from others, and then we realize that we are all born with a gift. We're all born with purpose. Life's journey is to hone and develop that gift as purpose changes within. And the more knowledgeable we become from one another, the more harmonious we will live. Yes, indeed. So thank you for sharing your precious time with me today. I wanted to mention that the Flourish show is going to be translated into other languages over the next few months. And the first language we're going to start with is German. That's a little easier for me, but you'll be able to see the subtitles on the YouTube channel. And hey, fun way to learn some English by reading your words in your own language and then hearing them through my voice. So I hope you take advantage of that, and make sure you take a moment to subscribe. And I would love to have a comment about the show, what your favorite part of the show was, and reach out to me, because I came across this quote, which is from the unknown, and I think this summarizes my message today, which is: the beauty of the world lies in the diversity of its people. Live well. Prost!